go.
But oh,
So, guys, thank you for joining us once again for another episode of the Laymans Project.
eagle-eyed
Myself.
viewers would notice
Who's noticed
that we are not in the C-suite tonight.
Dressing the elephant in the room one
The elephant
time.
of the room.
Elephant
The
room.
room that is the elephant. The elephant that is the room.
All right, so today we are being hosted by Nick Gyro. All right, just for today, shout out to my guy Nick. Still shout out 519. This is not a
Always shout out 519.
this is not a deviation from our partnership.
This is adapting and overcoming. Yes.
And another thing that's new today is our guest.
So, Nicholas Griffith. Griffith.
You can pronounce it TH all along.
Griffith.
That's your name?
Yeah.
What do you, all
You
right.
don't know him. You don't know him that way. I only call him Nicholas.
Boy.
We'll get to that just now.
It's what?
Nicholas Griffith
I don't use
is a
Avengers
dedicated
name.
professional with a passion, I'm speaking,
Sorry.
for health, wellness, and human performance. With over 20 years of experience as a personal trainer,
Oh my God.
Nicholas has helped, what century was that for? Nicholas has helped numerous individuals achieve their fitness goals and improve their overall well-being. His expertise extends beyond the gym, as he holds certifications in exercise prescription and performance nutrition, allowing him to provide comprehensive guidance to his clients. During the pandemic, which lasted 25 years as we established earlier, Nicholas found a new platform for his passion by delving into the world of radio, and we gotta get into this later too, where he shared his knowledge and insights on health and fitness for 2 years. This experience further fueled his desire to educate and inspire others to lead healthier lifestyles. Page 2. Nicholas's academic background includes 2 years of study in nutrition and dietetics at USC, and he is currently on track to complete a bachelor's degree in kinesiology. His fascination with the intricacies of the human body has been a driving force throughout his life, shaping his career path and commitment to helping others optimize their physical well-being. With a blend of practical experience, academic knowledge, and a genuine interest in human physiology, Nicholas Griffith continues to make a positive impact in the health and fitness industry, empowering individuals to reach their full potential and live their best lives.
Okay, guys, let me tell you all something about Fluke Designs. Today's sponsor will allow you to furnish your home with cabinetry and countertops. Their professional designs provide various options, allowing you to seamlessly integrate appliances into your living space. You can also have hurricane impact windows and doors designed and built with laminated glass. You guys can check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. They provide free video chat consultations with their designer, or a site visit can be arranged. In case you'd like to book an appointment, please call or WhatsApp 388-5279. That's 388-5279. And don't forget to use promo code Laymans to save 5% on your order. Fluke Designs. You dream, we design and build.
I wish I could record that so I can have it.
Well, it's recorded.
Yeah, I need that.
I mean, we actively recorded. So,
Like a ringtone or something.
so Nicholas Titan Griffith, welcome to the Laymans Project.
Thanks for
Applause.
having me.
Yes,
Find it, the audience do like it. Right?
All right.
They're a little subdued tonight.
Yeah.
We'll allow it.
They don't like Titan as much as the ladies.
So, Nicholas, welcome. But tonight's Laymans Project is going to be a little different because the professional that we have on tonight is a fitness professional, which Vaughn and I also are. So we are not just the layman's tonight. We are also the professionals.
Contribute.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So Vaughn has also been a certified. He's been certified as a personal trainer for about 5 years. They applaud louder for Vaughn.
I mean, it's me, so obviously.
That's what we doing.
Come on.
Vaughn turn up the applause for himself. Yeah. So there.
Yeah.
And I've also been a personal trainer for like 15 years or so. Yeah, crickets for that one. Fun horse. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
It's all about me today.
so we are the professionals as well as the layman's. We are both. And
Care
to
to
start
learn
off,
as well. Yes.
to start off the conversation, I wanted to drop a little Socrates on the people tonight. I know how to pronounce Socrates there. That was ironic.
Well, I was just about to be like,
Socrates.
I've never heard that before.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure Horse. Socrates.
Yep. I remember
Horse.
Keanu Reeves. I know the reference.
Thanks very much.
Sorry.
Nicholas got it.
Got it.
Pause. I was like,
Anyway.
what is going on here?
Socrates.
Socrates. Socrates once opined, "No man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable."
Facts.
I can't argue with Socrates there. So let's start at the beginning. Nicholas, how didst thou get into personal training and building the fantastic frame that sits before us?
The frame began as a coat hanger, I have to say.
As did we all.
Yeah,
Likewise.
I got involved in a motorcycle accident, and they told me that I would never walk again. They told me that I had lost the ability to close my fist on my right hand, and they sentenced me basically to the public system and the physiotherapy there, and I began. So I was in physio for a while. I had to learn to walk and everything all over again. They told me I would never walk again. And then I started off at the gym when I finished physiotherapy, and I met a trainer, and I kept asking questions, and she realized that I was way more inquisitive than she could handle. So she began pointing me in the direction of literature. I began reading the literature, interrogating the literature, and then she directed me to my first course. So I did my first program. In those days, I had to fly out to do it. I couldn't do it in Trinidad. It didn't have distance learning at that time.
Tell the people what year this was.
That was approximately in the year 2000, 2001 or something like that.
No, because
No, it
before we started recording,
Yeah,
you said
you said something else.
1990.
All right,
Had a
okay, all
19
right,
in
fine.
it.
It
So
was
this was in the
this was in the
1990s.
Do your
It was
fast
in the
one.
90s,
Right.
late.
So the 1900s.
Right. So in the
You've
90s.
been
The
you've been
20th
certified
century.
since the 1900s.
Right. The 20th century. So we changed centuries.
Right.
So and then it just became a situation where I just continued to learn. I picked up a job at the gym when I came back to Trinidad. I hired a trainer because I would always tip my hat to experiential knowledge, even though I had scholarly knowledge. And then I began doing things that were deemed strange. So I started working at the funeral home. I started working at the morgue, at the feet of morticians, and just to get a handle on the human body and see what it looks like, see how it performs, and what would be the parameters by which I could use to push it further. I was always fascinated by performance, and it helped me learn to train better. The understanding of the physiology taught me how to execute movements better. So I would always recommend to people to go out and do that. Don't just stop with a certification. A certification is just basically to let you know, well, okay, I like this topic, and you delve into it and don't be afraid. And I've been a fan and a student of the human body ever since. Every single year I look for something else to do. It has led me to UTT now, where I am completing my degree in kinesiology with a specialization in exercise science and pre-med. With that now, I can now become a medical doctor. I could then go into sport med, there are so many sub-disciplines that I can now look at to become more knowledgeable and to get more information so I can help more people, to reach more people,
Yeah, because that is how that's actually kind of how your social media is set up. Most of your contributions are kind of geared. They wax educational, I think.
Yeah. People ask questions, and I hear a lot of people. Now, in the United States, we have something called bro science.
Well,
You get down
on
here
the
too.
internet.
No, but in Trinidad, it's different. So in Trinidad, we don't have bro science. We have
Nonsense.
We have nonsense. We have banana and mango science. We don't have bro science. Bro science.
Bananas and mangoes are both delicious and nutritious. I do
them
not like how you just
Comparison.
threw two of my favorite fruits under the bus.
Under the bus, but in Trinidad we have a culture that is it's now starting to mature and take shape the way that I believe that it should, in my humble opinion. But before, people would wear, to begin with, people would wear rags to the gym. Like you see a fella in a white jersey and a short pants every single day. Now people actually wear, it has become a fashion show. When I was becoming a trainer, and because I was always fascinated with dressing properly and that kind of thing for what you're doing. And, people used to be, this is not a fashion show. You can't dress like that. Don't do this, because my sneakers would always match my shirts and that kind of thing. And people would tear it down. Now I'm happy to see people are dressing the way they want to. They're allowed to express. And it helps with their subjective experience, because, having clothes would make them, want to work harder to fit the clothes better.
Yeah, I do have a feel to work out when I'm naked.
Me neither.
Wow.
Which it makes sense because he spoke about having clothes.
Having clothes
So-
makes you more comfortable
and I
working
just
out. I agree.
realized
Right.
that
It
I
is
don't ever
very
feel like
uncomfortable working out in public without clothes.
I've
Right.
never-
In
never-
private,
I've never
different
done
story. But no, like the psychology of what you wear is I think underreported.
You feel good about
I mean,
yourself,
people,
you do good.
it's understood. Like people understand it inherently, but it's underreported.
Yeah.
That kind of way. And yeah, you throw on a fresh gym kit, you feel like training.
better,
It's like in martial arts and taekwondo. When I put on the dobok, the uniform, like I am already in a mental state to train.
Yeah.
I don't feel like throwing kicks if I don't have on that long flowy pants. But as soon as it's on,
You become
Kicks
that warrior,
flying.
and it motivates you. It motivates you in a number of ways, because you can see, based on your progression, how the clothes
fit in as
change,
well.
and I recently got some clothes from a popular brand, and they have a line called the Heritage line, and they have patterned these clothes after the old school bodybuilding. And I got some last night, and I literally can't
So, like,
wait to go put it on.
the stringiest of stringers
No. I tend to stray
or
away.
the tightest of leotards,
No, it's actually the opposite. It's oversized. But there
navel
is a,
breakers.
No.
Because we're
I
talking
did.
1900s
I
now.
listen to me. I
Do you
I-
remember in the 80s when like
Yeah.
baggy navel breakers was a thing for
But they
fellas
have
in
it,
the gym?
that same brand
The-
has
the-
it,
the
and I've
huge
threatened
Yeah,
to wear
huge.
it. It's called a
Absolutely
rag
no
top,
neck.
right? It's called a rag top. That's the one I got. But my belly button is safely
I
covered.
don't,
was saying, I don't mind-
I
I
was
don't mind
now
the
going to
rag
say
top,
I
but-
do not want to see you in a navel
Nah,
breakers in the gym,
I
please.
see a man. He's like always training that kind of crop rag top thing. I mean, listen, I don't really criticize people's fashion and thing. Personally, I'd be like, listen, if you
I wouldn't criticize them to their
I would-
face, but I mean, I would criticize them.
no, I would just be like that. Well, that's definitely not for me.
I would like to interject and say Vaughn is full of it because I grew up with this man and he will definitely criticize like, oh my gosh, where you going in that?
No,
Oh,
well, I mean, no, I'm no longer.
Why you do it?
I'm no longer.
So he's
that.
no longer that guy.
No, I'm
He
not.
wouldn't do it out loud.
In my
I
head, I'd
promise
be like,
you
what
it goes
the? And
through
then
his
I would
head.
stop.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I would stop myself.
Work in
Like,
progress.
listen,
You're a work in progress.
Yeah.
no, you do you, I'm not going to tell you anything to your face,
But behind your back,
not behind your back either. In my head, it's like, what is happening?
What
Anyway.
is going on? But power to you.
yeah.
Yeah, I could relate to that. The fashion stuff. You know, you get different energy when you are well dressed in the gym.
And in kinesiology, we have parameters to describe that. So these are things that govern your subjective experience, and these things motivate you to want to come back and motivate you, and they help you throughout your experience during physical activity to feel better about yourself, you know. So, you know, it is a good thing, and it's definitely marketed heavily by these companies, and you know, I don't think it hurts. I don't think it hurts at all.
I mean, no, come to
Definitely
think of
doesn't
it, I think there is a correlation between like people who are well dressed at the gym and the frequency that they go to the gym. Now, as I think about it, like people who, I guess you
Take
would say
pride in
focus
their
on
appearance, I suppose.
well,
Yeah.
we would say like focus on brands and things. Yeah, them they will be in the gym often. Now they mightn't be training properly in the gym often, but as a start, at least you're going. You know, so
Because a moving ship is easier to guide than a stationary ship, you know?
Also, principles of inertia and such. But so you were talking about education and bro science and the kind of fruit science we have down here as well.
yeah, like who so?
So no, not
No, Vaughn.
I
No,
wasn't-
we're not gonna.
We can't.
No, we're not gonna do
We
that. But
mustn't.
Yeah, but
so like I had a chat with a guy in the gym the other day, slim build fellow, and he was telling me he liked my build. He's like he wanna get a build like mine. It's really not, you know. I mean, I don't do a lot. I don't lift heavy weights, mostly calisthenics. And he said he got turned off this personal trainer. He was told basically that he could not achieve even my size, which I'm very slim, especially compared to the two earlier. With, yeah, it had to come. With the advice that this personal trainer was giving to him, and this is fairly recently, right? This is not 1975. So he was told that he was
You went back to the 90s, France?
no 70s. I said.
All right.
So he was told that he was was he the thin one on that silly body composition
The
thing?
somotype say he was ectomorphic.
Right. So he was told he was an ectomorph. So somatotypes my guy is still espousing in the year 2024, Anno Domini. He was then told he had to eat loads and loads of beef, which he can't because he's a pescatarian. So he's like, oh, so I could just never reach where I need to go then. I was like, who told you? Like, listen, Solia, somatotypes are nonsense. You don't have, there's other forms of protein than beef. In fact, fish are a fine form. So I mean, I understand
like
exactly
the best,
what you mean.
They're like the best for what
They are
he's trying to
the
do.
best.
For what he's trying to do, you know.
And so I understand exactly what you mean by it's not even just bro science anymore. I mean, yeah, there's still some of the lower level bros on the internet still pushing the somatotype nonsense. But to tell somebody that you need to eat loads and loads of beef, like that's your benchmark for protein alone.
That's it.
Oh, come
Well,
off it, man.
Well, you see, this takes us back to the fact that, okay, so I have a friend of mine. He's a very, very popular gynecologist. And when women have to get a gynecologist, you know, they want to know where he went to school, what kind of person he was in school, you know, what kind of grades he
Yeah,
got.
he
Does
definitely
he touch people?
Would like a
Well, they need
gynecologist.
references as well.
Right. But
existing clients.
But when we go into the gym, we take our 32 trillion cells and hand it to an amateur,
Anybody.
to anybody without asking.
Anybody who just big
Right.
in a jersey.
Right. So we don't interrogate and we don't demand better. So we're not going to get better, you know. And
So let me cut you off before you get too tangented.
sorry.
So how should, in your opinion and my opinion after maybe, people go about choosing a personal trainer?
Right. So firstly, I would want to see the facilities only accommodating certified, qualified staff. There's a difference between certified and qualified. Not a conversation. But I would firstly want to see facilities only allowing certified people to come in and operate.
Agreed.
Right? And then we can now advertise, so people can know when they come to the gym, they're only dealing with certified people. And when in doubt, ask a question. Because you see, it's all fun and games until somebody becomes injured. There are a plethora of injuries that emanate from the gym, and the majority of them come from the pillar of negligence. And and we are all culpable in that when we don't ask the relevant questions and we don't push the relevant conversations, because you are handing your body over. Think about how comfortable you'd feel going to a doctor's office and not seeing a certificate on the wall, or even a dentist. You don't see, the walls are cleanly painted and you don't see a single piece of paper on the wall. Are you gonna then be
But
comfortable?
you just see plenty pictures of them
Right.
smiling.
Right. So then why would we take our bodies now and give it to somebody who is a quote unquote trainer, right? And just follow, And we have to within ourselves now, because I always encourage questions. I always encourage people to do independent research in everything, even the things I say. We are now subjected to a lot of non-communicable diseases, and we are now trying to change the culture. We're trying to have the discussions. We're trying to start within the realm of physical activity, but we're not putting things in place and infrastructure in place for that. So we can't have people now on the gym floor or around who are not qualified to be there, and it falls as negligence, firstly on the part of the facility, and then on us as people who come to the gym and don't ask questions. If you collapse for whatever reason, can this person seek first aid for you? Can this person perform CPR? Does this person know how to handle basic things, And if you go up to a trainer and you say, listen to me, I'm diabetic, or I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, or I have this or that challenge or deficiency, it's either that trainer is qualified to do so, or they should turn you away, or they should direct you along the path, because the law will only protect you where you are qualified to be. And if you are not qualified to be anywhere, you are basically, opening yourself up for litigation, And that's just my 2 cents.
Bonus.
Yeah, but I think that if you are not qualified from the client's perspective, and you don't actually seek out this person's qualifications, I think you wouldn't have as much of a claim if you made the conscious decision to be trained by somebody who wasn't qualified as a personal trainer. I think the qualification and certification protects you as the client from any negligence.
When you go to the gym now and you become injured, I've seen a woman lose a baby on a leg press, and she was never able to get pregnant again.
Nah, that's a bag of mad. That is the absolute worst thing I've ever heard.
When you do things like that, this woman has compromised 2 generations. So what I'm saying is, I hear what you're saying, but we have to now work together to get these people from and move away from being able to practice. There was an incident where a young lady took to social media. She had reached out to me for pricing. I gave her the pricing. She reached out all over social media to let everybody know my price was too high and this and that and the other. And then she got a guy, I can't call his name, to train her, and he bilaterally fractured her femurs and her kneecaps. She was on the ramp by the hospital, and she broke her 2 legs. He broke her 2 legs on her leg press and her kneecap. She'll never walk again.
So the tolerated negligence, I think, as a culture, Trinidadians just used to not getting good service. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen trainers literally lying down on the floor with their hat over their face, and they have like 5 or 6 different clients. And they will come to him when they finish whatever, and he will lift the hat and say, how many reps you do? All right, remember that thing we do last week? Yeah, do 10 reps of that. And put his hat back down. No lie. And these people are paying him. So, I mean, I sincerely doubt you'll get away with that in a properly developed society that is used to customer service. So, like, culturally, that's one thing. But the basicest of basic is if you know you have some sort of NCD or some sort of health problem, talk to your doctor first. And get exercise recommendations, anything that your trainer suggests that goes against your doctor, you blow the whistle, you pull out your red card, and you say, nope, I'm gonna consult VAR on this one, and you call your doctor and find out. But do not let your trainer override your doctor, because that will lead to severe injury, and that one I've seen.
Let's say you get your assessment from your doctor or physiotherapist or whoever, because a lot of the times these are the people who recommend you to get a personal trainer. So you go to the personal trainer with your assessment, then he gives you his assessment based on your doctor or physiotherapist recommendation. That way, everybody is on the same page. So he's going to be perfectly transparent with you. All right, so this means that we can't do this, or we have to do this in this way. So at any point in time during your training, it's like, hey, we discussed this. It's like a mutual decision. Like, okay, so we wanna ease into this now, because I know we were not initially supposed to, but based on your progress, I feel like, and so that way the relationship between you and your trainer is, I want to say, it's more intelligent just across the board. So y'all could like collaborate.
It's more collaborative, yeah, for sure. But at the end of the day, it always comes down to buyer beware. Because as the client, if you don't open your mouth, because as Nicholas was saying, you're giving yourself over to these people. So there is an element of trust, like, well, here I am trusting you with my body. And you assume that this person is the expert. So I guess they must know what they're doing.
Because of how they look.
Because of how they look, or they got this certificate in the mail from some fly-by-night organization. Mm-hmm. So finding out where they were certified is another thing, because not all certificates are created equal.
Correct.
At all. Not all certifying bodies are created equal.
Correct.
So if you have an internationally accredited certification, great. If you have one from XYZ, literally down the road, nah, maybe not.
My certifications allowed me exemptions from some of my university courses, and that is a mark of having something that is worth having. Mm-hmm. To say I have this certification, and for the university to be able to shake my hand and say, you have this certification, you do not need to do this course. That qualifies as an exemption. So I get 3 credits here, 4 credits there, that kind of thing towards my degree. I think that's when you have something that's worth having, something that's accredited, because at the university level, these things have to be evaluated by the educational committee, by the academic committee, and then a decision is made. You don't just present a piece of paper and waive it and they just let you go. You need to submit the components of what the program offered you, and then the university makes a decision based on a panel, and then they offer you the exemption. So certifications are very, very important, and where they come from and that kind of thing. We could delve into the names and that kind of thing, but there are very, very few that are considered reputable in the world. Mm-hmm. That I would even recommend.
And they are.
Can we?
Yeah, you can.
Of course. Where you certified? Where are you certified? Where everyone certified?
NASM has good programs. The Polyquin group. I did some certifications with the Polyquin group. The Polyquin group is a little different from like the ISSA. ISSA is fantastic. ISSA has to be recertified every 2 years.
Every year.
Mm-hmm.
Every 2 years. And then of course you have to submit your first aid, or you have to submit your CPR.
It's every 2 years? I think you have to have a certain amount of credits.
No, it's every. I literally just did one in November. And that one was 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's every 2 years.
And so so there was that. Polyquin group is fantastic in the sense that it encourages continuing in education, but it doesn't expire your program. ISSA and some of these others, after the 2 years you're expired, you have to recertify. And with Polyquin group, you don't have to do that sort of thing. But
But I think the ISSA that encourages you to keep up to date.
It does.
Yeah, 'cause there's a
because
lot
it's constantly
constant
evolving.
continuing
Yeah.
education.
They encourage us because our understanding of the human body
Changes,
in its
exactly.
entirety every 3 years.
So that was my next thing. So that was advice for clients.
Yeah.
Advice for personal trainers at a very basic minimum is don't stop learning.
Yeah. Simple things like the first aid. First aid, you have to do it over every 2 years. Like in first aid now, giving a rescue breath is now optional.
Yeah.
It's
It's
no longer and COVID
2 pumps and a
Yeah.
breath.
Right. The depth for the
For the rib compressions.
for the rib compressions between an adult and adolescent and a child, is a little more stringent now. But the rescue bets are optional, and we don't have to do it. And and that puts us at an advantage because I always have this thing where I'm not gonna give anybody with a beard rescue bets. I don't care what you say. That
So
was it.
Vaughan boy,
Yeah,
I mean,
He will let you-
I'm just
Yeah, I'm
he will
sorry.
just watch you and let
don't
you
think
expire there, you know.
anybody else could get you, just not beards, Sprangers.
And this is
as
a
long
man.
as-
This is a man with a beard discriminating against bearded men.
Yeah, beard on beard is not good.
I would not know, right? Sprangers getting through as long as you don't have a beard. Anybody. Just
Anybody.
know
You've ever
that's
seen
where
a
he draws
Spranger?
it. That's
He
where
not
he
make- he will
Have
not
you
make a
ever
moral
seen
judgment?
A Spranger needs CPR. That is a good question.
I was just about
Never
to ask.
in my life.
I sure if you watch enough TikToks or something, you'll come across
Sprangers with
a,
beards.
a Spranger just
That
in
needed
need.
CPR.
But we also are seeing now the prevalence of children now becoming overweight. Men are now under tremendous attack because when men go out now, firstly, men are totally different from anything else on the planet. We are loved conditionally based on our ability to provide something.
Okay, Chris Rock.
Right.
I mean, it's true though, but
When you look at it on its most intrinsic of levels. But where I'm going with this is that men are under tremendous pressure. And from a physiological standpoint, that puts us at risk for things like heart disease. We are operating with high amounts of cortisol. We're under tremendous amount of stress. Men are way more predispositioned for things like suicides, heart attacks, becoming diabetic, high blood pressure,
diabetes.
strokes, heart disease, everything. So we are now seeing men decline at an unprecedented rate in history, because our health, our ability to exercise is now, we have to now take the time that we would have used to exercise or engage in physical activity to now have to go and try to earn an extra dollar or try to stay a little later at the office, or, we have to pitch in more with the kids. We have to pitch in more with the housework, the wives, whatever. Men we're always at a disadvantage, and nobody can understand how tired a man is sometimes, with just external factors affecting us like stress and these things, these constant cognitive demons that we have to face in terms of, we have bills to pay, we have the kids, and then we have the things that we're trying to do for our children that we didn't have as children. And these things provide tremendous amounts of stress, and the stress physiologically manifests itself. And basic things like the levels of testosterone, our ability to produce testosterone is affected by things like that, and then we have to consider now, like, when a man reaches 21 years old, his testosterone begins to decline and it begins to drop. What physical activity does is it kind of gives us an edge as to where it starts to drop from, because if you're more active, it will drop from a higher point, as opposed to if you're not active, it drops from a lower point. And of course, testosterone, it gives us a gauge in terms of, when I say a gauge, is a correlation between levels of testosterone and presentation of adipose tissue. So things like a body fat percentage is affected by levels of testosterone. So, and we see it in athletes who are enhanced when they begin coming off of the gear, coming off the anabolics, you begin to see their body fat percentages changing almost immediately because it's a telltale sign. But men, I would always, and my male clients, I always encourage them to go get yourself checked. When you're in your 40s, your late 30s, 40s, 50s, and you get in trouble to wake up in the morning, you have unacceptable. When I say unacceptable, there are ranges. And we're not talking about athletes. We're talking about just generally being a man. There are general ranges of body fat that are acceptable for your age. And a lot of men don't know that.
And by acceptable, you mean healthy?
Healthy, of course. And things like, are you waking up with erections? Are you having trouble to get an erection? Are you able to hold an erection? And these are conversations that nobody is having, because a man is also measured by his ability to
Erection.
To perform. So we need to start as a society having more of these discussions and encouraging this, because a man is not gonna feel comfortable speaking about his prowess or speaking about
Or lack thereof.
or lack thereof.
Especially lack thereof. There are no men. Most men have no problem speaking of their prowess.
Right.
If prowess they have.
If prowess they have.
And so just to drill down on that point, physical activity increases testosterone, decreases likelihood of heart disease, stroke, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cortisol, improves brain function, improves blood flow, improves heart health, improves lung function, all of which improve erectile function and sexual prowess.
Yeah.
It's a great stress relief.
And confidence and a stress relief, endorphins,
Dopamine.
serotonin,
Actively reducing cortisol.
all these wonderful things. So movement is medicine.
Yeah.
And as Nicholas so joyfully pointed out, all of these things come from lack of movement. All these NCDs we talked about,
Hypokinetic disorders.
everything comes from, is made worse, by lack of movement. So make the time, because as you were saying, and not just men, women are extremely busy as well. So it's very difficult for adults, husbands, wives, parents in particular, to find time to go out and move. So it has to be a make time
But I think in general, women take better care of themselves. Just my personal observation. I think women in general take better care of themselves.
That goes in a number of different directions, because from an endocrinological standpoint, women have mechanisms that protect them. Women have, the prevalence of estrogen and some of these other things. They actually predisposition women for protection against heart attacks. Women's bodies don't deal with stressors the way a man's body deals with a stressor. When a man's body is presented with a stressor, his immune system is the first thing to begin to go down. The same thing is going to happen to a woman, but a woman has more tolerance for different things. Women are not like men. Women are, I believe, in my humble opinion, they can be superior with respect to the things that they can handle that men can't. Their fiber dominance is different. The way they handle and register pain is different from a neurological level. Women are totally different.
I was looking at a study where they said women's pain tolerance is relatively higher than men.
Not even relative. It's disproportional.
Well, it was a scientific...
Yeah.
Well, evolutionarily speaking, it makes sense, given a woman's role in having and raising children, while the men are off farming or fighting or hunting and gathering.
Well, the argument started that a man's mental fortitude is what would bolster his pain tolerance. So but that was like a more.
You could train yourself to take pain too.
Yeah.
But just,
we're talking about
men's and women's brains and bodies are just different.
Totally different. Men produce testosterone at one site, and women produce testosterone in different places depending on the time of the month. A woman's body is totally different. They have phases. And as trainers, simple things like prescribing physical activity for women, there's a correlation between what part of their cycle they are and and your expectations as a trainer in the weight room, you know. So as I would say, women are fine. Let me tell you what happens as well from a psychological standpoint, and this is socio-economical as well. Women come into the gym and they would submit. Like the most longevity I've ever experienced with clients are female clients because they come into the gym and they do what you say. Men come to the gym and they would train for periods until they get the impression that they can do it themselves, and then they move on.
That's actually what I was talking about, because women actually, when I say women take better, this is my personal experience. Like you'd advise people that the more active you are physically, whether it be gym or football, whatever the case may be, you have to pay more attention now to the recovery process and active recovery. So, things like massages, a visit to the chiropractor. So it's not like a luxury. That's how a man would treat it as a luxury. It's actually a necessity. And women have a routine where they go and get a massage here, that might be included in a facial or whatever the case may be, but they still go in and get in a massage and a deep tissue. And men who actually desperately need it, it's like, so when last did you go and get a massage? A what?
Yeah. Yeah, what is that?
What do you mean by that? So
That might be due to lack of education on the benefits of it, though. I mean, if you just look at a massage as something to relax, then the importance of it is not there. But if you tell people, no, you need a regular deep tissue, we're talking like at least once a quarter to make sure your body working properly.
Yeah.
You would explain this to a man, and he'd be like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And then
you just
not do
proceed
it.
to never
Let's not do
whereas
it.
a woman, she would.
Because I feel,
I feel fine.
I feel fine.
You know what I mean? It helps with it even helps with your gains, because remember these deep tissue massages improve your circulation, and improve circulation improves like your delivery system, like it improves recovery.
Yeah, it allows the metabolites to move and evacuate from within the fascia of the muscle and that kind of thing.
Not just that, like as simply as if my hip hurts, I can't squat or deadlift like I normally would. So
Right.
I might find supplementary exercises to do. And yeah, I'm working legs, but I haven't deadlifted heavy in 6 months, which is 6 months of lost potential.
Yeah.
If I go to my chiropractor and my deep tissue therapist and I'm back on the floor deadlifting like normal, then, I could have saved myself 6 months of potential loss. So
Because a little tightness, a little pinch in circulation, somewhere unseen, that will extremely inhibit your gains.
Yeah, you see, the thing is that we, there are movements within our programs that are staple. So a man would go to the bench press machine. Similarly, a woman will go to squat, and they would hammer down on it, and they would continue. And a lot of people don't know how to periodize a program properly. So every week, that man is going to bench press, and he's going to try to see how much he could bench press. But is he recovering adequately? And the more we hammer at a movement, is the closer, regardless of what you believe, that we're going to become injured doing that, because the muscles are using one pathway all the time, all the time.
True.
And the more that happens, they can erode and they can tear. Once you are not recovering properly. So we have to begin looking at the recovery process a little better, a little more. Look at the nutrition associated with that. But, we have to start being a lot more scientific, or a lot more read, or getting more professional help in the things that we're doing. Because the smallest period of time you're going to need for recovery for any kind of shoulder injury is 6 weeks. In the presence of good nutrition, proper rest, and proper techniques for recovery and rehabilitation. So again, we're going to err on the path of caution, and always being able to prescribe professional help. Getting that proper trainer, getting that person who is necessary for the job.
To segue a little bit, because I was thinking about how you're talking about getting tested earlier for your testosterone and such, as we talking man thing recently. Tests that men typically don't actually do prostate exam. I heard an interesting stat. I'm not going to remember the exact figures, but Trinidad has among the lowest rates of detection for prostate cancer,
Yeah.
but one of the highest rates of death by prostate cancer. And so if you know how to read statistics, it means that nobody is going to be tested for prostates, but
Yeah.
they're dying of it.
Yeah.
It also means that your survivability goes up a lot just by getting tested.
Yeah, but prostate cancer is one of those that if you catch it early, it's absolutely 100% survivable.
Yeah, because if low detection has a relation to high death rate from detection.
Okay,
it's
so
gonna help with
let's
the-
deal with the real issue. Nobody wants to go by the doctor, curl up in a ball, and let that person check their
Check their
prostate.
oil.
go in your back.
Check your, you know what I mean?
Right,
Through a rectal
that,
exam.
So that is my question. That was going to be my question to all you
Right.
men. When last
I
or have you ever?
I check my prostate once a year or as needed. Funny story though, the first time I was gonna get a prostate exam, I did not know, so I didn't go there for a prostate exam. I went there.
They surprised you with a prostate
They
exam?
said, listen to me.
That's
I went
terrible.
there. I went there. Wasn't feeling too good, you know. And the
I bet you
doctor.
felt worse.
And the doctor, listen to me. And the doctor, she held up my file and she said, "Wait a minute, how old are you?" "Oh no, let's check your prostate." I said, "Okay, no problem. I'll make an
I'll
appointment."
schedule another appointment.
Right. She said, "No,
I need to gird my loins.
we could do it now." And I'm here. I begin looking at things. I'm looking around the room.
I wasn't prepared for
I
this.
wasn't prepared for this. You know, my doctor, she is a she, firstly, and she's kind of tall. Her hands are big, you know, and I begin.
I was gonna make a joke about big hands, you know, and he
Listen
beat me
to
to
me.
just.
So she said, you know, you could remove your clothing.
I didn't wear
and you
my
have to
proper
lie
drawers
down.
today. I didn't expect to drop trauma.
Listen to me,
Sorry,
but luckily I didn't have any underwear with the hole in it.
I didn't come in my good jockey shorts.
I had a good one. I was. So you know, I had to curl up in a ball. And face the wall. You know, and I'm
Yeah,
there,
look away.
and I'm all by myself.
Nice.
You know, there are worse things. You know,
Are there though?
no, my father. You know, he always said, because we have family actually that died from prostate cancer, and he's like, listen to me, you can have your prostate checked. Or no, he didn't use the words have your prostate checked. He says you can have somebody have sex with you once a year, or when you end up in the ward in the hospital, they'll have sex with you once an hour because they have to check you all the time. So you need to pick your poison. You know, my point.
That is an interesting way of.
Pops is really.
So if it is your
You're the real brass tacks kind of guy.
if it is you're homophobic, you have two choices. You could be a homo once a year, or you could be a homosexual once an hour.
No homo.
It-
You're
I
just,
mean,
you're just checking your prostate.
You're just checking your
It's
prostate.
a medical procedure.
No, here's the thing now. Now the prostate is also in some cases an erogenous zone. So sometimes, some men can have their prostate and checked, and during the process, you may get an erection. It doesn't mean that you're a homosexual. It means that you are being stimulated and your body has responded. You see, all these things that we're talking about here now are things that men, you know, these are conversations that nobody is having. You know, I went to check my prostate today and the doctor put his finger inside and I got an erection. You know, and I can imagine the colorful twists and turns, the meanders along literary device that Trinidadians would take, you know, using the colloquial. But
Yeah, nobody admitting to that erection thing. I mean,
listen to me. If it happened to me, I would have said, listen to me, it happened to me, it happens. Luckily, I can report from the clubhouse, there was no action. I was more
Unsolicited.
at least he didn't play the crickets, you know.
At least.
But you're lazy, you know. But
it didn't
but you
occur to
know,
him.
but by all means, go out and have your prostate checked. I can't stress on that enough. There are you know, things that can also come out of exams like that you need to be, you know, you need to go and get yourself checked.
Yeah,
and, you know, stay on top of it. Is your health.
Now you can also get get your prostate checked via a blood test.
They can do the blood test, but it's not as accurate as actually having.
It's not as accurate, but also the way my bank account set up, $2,000 for a blood test is more
yeah.
than the $500 for
And
a
of
physical.
course, and
the physical covers
the physical covers everything.
everything.
You know, and of course, it's more accurate. You know, you are touching, the organ is being touched and it's being palpated.
And there's nothing like checking under the hood. You know what I mean?
You understand?
No.
You
It
could
is
go
an
by a
uncomfortable
mechanic. You could go by a
experience.
mechanic, and the mechanic could listen to your engine. A very good mechanic, he could listen to your engine and tell, "Hey, listen to me, your crankshaft is bad." Or you could open the hood.
Yeah, it'd feel
and
better
have.
if
You understand? I mean, it's up to you. You know.
I don't think Vaughn is at the age
No, yeah,
yet
I now
What?
have to
where he
start.
has
Yeah.
to. No, Vaughn is a
Yeah.
young boy, you know, despite the bald head. He's an actual young boy.
Wow.
And so he's not at the age yet where we reach, where it's like, well,
Yeah,
every
yeah,
year,
yeah,
fellas, you have to.
yeah.
No, I mean, but now is time for me to start. So you know,
You hit 40 yet?
no, well, this year.
Ah, there we go. Welcome.
Welcome to 40.
Drop chow.
It gets better. It gets better. I promise. You know, and there are other things that that I'm not sure you guys wanted to talk about, like, you know, in the event your testosterone is low, when you go do those tests and your testosterone is low, what do you do? You know,
Trend.
no.
Psalms.
No. All right. So
TRT
there is
is big.
testosterone. Yes.
It's big on the
Do
tiki talk.
tell.
Yeah, there is testosterone replacement therapy. So
TRT, yeah.
Right. So TRT is when your testosterone has a range of an acceptable range, a range for optimal function.
Which
That's
is
gonna-
different for everyone, I think.
Which is different for everybody because they examine you. They don't just do the blood test and prescribe the TRT. They do the blood test and then they would look at everything else, all the other moving pieces, all the other parts of the puzzle, and then they would determine in the presence of this and the absence of that, hey, listen to me, your testosterone is low. Or in the same parameters but different outcome, your testosterone is fine. But in the
Is that just to cut just before I
Fine.
think? Is that because of the fact that different people, like their response to testosterone is different? So some people would get the results of I just want to bring figures into the example. So I might get results, like noticeable results, from let's say 400 milligrams of test. Not saying, you know.
that's a lot.
No, I'm just.
Oh, I
I'm
know.
joking,
I'm just
right?
playing.
Whereas someone else might need 1,000 milligrams just to get the same kind of results because I'm what you would call like a hyper responder to, you know, gay or whatever the case may be. So is it something like that where
All right, so in that arena, you're talking about athletic performance. In the arena I'm talking about, you're talking about optimizing well-being,
Just living.
just
Yeah.
living.
yeah, but once your response to testosterone is, I guess, more sensitive, you would be able to operate optimally with lower levels of test, basically.
Right. No, it has to be understood that it would depend on the person's lifestyle. So if you're comparing, let's say, somebody who is sedentary and have testosterone issues because they're sedentary, as opposed to somebody who's an athlete who for some reason is either intolerant or not as sensitive as they should be, because testosterone is something called androgenic. There are so many processes in the body that require testosterone that you just may not be producing it fast enough for the demand that you have. So what is done in TRT is it makes a little more, or it brings you to natural acceptable ranges for optimal function and well-being. So what that does now is it allows us to be a little more healthy. Some, you know, as a man, you would experience, you know, you just feel better. You fight off the cold better. You wake up feeling more refreshed. Your libido is fine, and in some cases a lot better. Your recovery from exercise, these kind of things. but the ranges that they use are based on overall function and is not a cookie cutter approach at all.
What do you know about like Ozempic as a weight loss?
Well, okay. All right. So Ozempic is it's a drug. Ozempic is a brand. The name of the drug is semaglutide, and it was first discovered as a diabetic medication, right? Now it works with the GLP-1 receptors in various parts of the body. It affects the brain, the stomach, the intestines, the pancreas. It affects the body in different ways. So at the liver, at the pancreatic level, what happens is that it makes the body more sensitive to insulin, and it makes the body less susceptible to glucagon. So you have better blood sugar regulation. In the stomach, it slows down digestion so that you stay fuller longer. And then at the brain, it allows you to remain satisfied with the food that you ate for a little longer. So it stretches out, that satisfied feeling from eating. So it affects the body in a way where you have more regulation, you have more regulatory potential. So you're less likely to binge eat and that kind of thing. And what happens as a side effect of that is that you lose weight. Ozempic is a weight loss drug, regardless of...
Well, it's used for weight loss, but it's primarily for the diabetes
It was
thing.
primarily, a diabetic drug.
But we have found
How
excellent it is.
because of how it works.
Off-label use Viagra was a blood pressure medication.
Not just that, but Viagra was first discovered to help women with sensitivity along the vaginal canal. It's a nitric oxide. It's a nitric oxide precursor.
Yeah.
So, it would help them with more rigidity along the canal to accommodate for... Can we say that in this? But,
Oh, you mean?
Okay, good. Well, right, good. So what happens is that
Scientific
there
words,
is supposed to be a certain amount of rigidity along the vaginal canal to accommodate coitus, to accommodate sexual intercourse, and Viagra facilitated
So when
that.
you say
Of course,
rigidity, so it's
the vaginal canal, the same way a man must be excited and aroused and ready to have intercourse, is the same thing in women. You cannot, there is damage that can be done to a woman if she's not aroused and she allows intercourse, So that's the whole Viagra story. But back to the semaglutide or the Ozempic, it was originally a diabetic medication that all of a sudden people started seeing weight loss
results
occurring. And there are like everything else, there are side effects. The side effects can be circumvented with proper monitoring by a healthcare professional, a physician. And once you have that, you are 100% fine with the Ozempic. Of course, if the doctor prescribed that to you to start with. One of the things about being who we are as professionals is always lending to the people who are qualified to do what they do. So at no point in time do I even approximate the urge to overturn what a physician would have told somebody. I stay completely away. And I try to work alongside what a doctor would have told somebody.
Yeah, facts. Because I have been getting a few questions about Ozempic. And I said, let me ask you, so you could break it down, more to layman's terms.
I'm glad I was able to break it down.
But please, personal trainers, but in your crease.
Yeah,
Please,
definitely.
do not. So we covered a few things there. Do not prescribe medication. Do not overturn physicians or physiotherapists' advice.
4 eggs for breakfast. This time the person allergic to egg or something. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that
have cholesterol problems. Yeah. Also, do not recommend diets if you are not.
So you need to be qualified to do these things.
Yeah.
If
Simple
not,
things
just
like
say
that.
you're not. Say you're not.
Bro, just because it worked for you doesn't mean it's going to work for this other person who is not you.
There is something called the law of individual differences, and that lends to the same thing that we just mentioned with the levels of testosterone and how we would begin going around finding ranges and stuff for people. But yeah, we need to stay away from things like that.
Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane.
We didn't really get to talk much about like the bro science aspect of personal training. I don't think you not we, you more or less kind of dodged that.
I wouldn't say dodge, more like being more of a strategist. As a trainer, being around for as long as I have been around, I see.
1900s.
Wow, thanks. People come with their YouTube person they would have followed, and then you know what happens? The person that they're following almost always is found to have tested positive for anabolics a month or two later down the road. I don't have a problem if somebody chooses to use anabolic steroids. It's not my business.
I don't think anybody does.
It's not my business. But you see, in the United States, we know it's illegal. So we look and we pedestalize somebody who is using or looking fantastic without understanding on the most intrinsic of levels that person has to be using. Now, being as experienced as we are, you can look at a physique and tell when it has been enhanced. But these guys can easily go to a doctor, get a prescription. You see, what happens is that when you get a prescription for testosterone and you are doing TRT, you're at home. So if the doctor has told you to use 5 ml and you use
50 ml,
there is no way for anybody to know except that it's physically manifesting itself. Nobody's going to pull up on you on the gym and test your blood or test your urine. You have a prescription and you are operating like you have a prescription. But your physique tells another story. So yes, we all want to believe that they're natural. And truth be told, there are far more women using anabolic steroids than men because they have less to pay in terms of side effects, But we want to believe. We want to believe that we can achieve this, and we want to believe in our favorite fitness influencer of the day. And in truth and in fact, we are being taken for an emotional ride based on what we want, because we want to get there, Without understanding as a man, you're never going to get there,
Unless you buy their supplements.
Unless you buy,
which is what they use in their gear to sell.
Yeah,
but you just said side effects, so hit them with the typical
this typical
anabolic steroids.
Anabolic steroids, the typical side effects. You have the testicular atrophy. With some of the compounds, so there are a lot of different compounds with respect to anabolic steroids. You do have erectile dysfunction issues, the inability of the dorsal muscle in the penis to retain nitric oxide for an erection. You do have the brain becoming in such a state in the presence of such, because estrogen rises, right? Remember, you are increasing your testosterone from an exogenous standpoint or from an exterior. So you're putting the testosterone in, and the body has to overcompensate. The body has to compensate. The body the testosterone it wears out. It is being metabolized. The estrogen isn't metabolized in a man as fast. So the operating
especially when you come off cycle,
right?
Your testosterone plummets. And then you remain with high levels of
estrogen.
estrogen.
When you come off cycle in a manner that you shouldn't, because coming off cycle is an art, and you begin developing secondary sexual characteristics for females. So you begin producing the breast tissue. Your voice can become alto. Yeah, the gynecomastia. And regardless of what they tell you, you're gonna have to have it surgically removed. There are a couple of other things that happen as well too. You have the acne developing, but more
infertility,
or less,
I think is
and these things are dependent on what compound you're using. Somebody might just use testosterone, but there are lots and lots of dozens of other compounds that you can use that are gonna make you look fantastic and then feel like shit at the end of the day.
Now, me personally, just hearing testicular atrophy is enough to keep me off of gear. I mean, when you used to hear, shrunken testicles, that doesn't sound quite as bad as testicular atrophy. I'm going to use that phrase from now on.
Yeah, you know, but
I
living
mean,
daylights.
But
from
of
ever
course-
since, that's one of that and possible mood swings are the only two things that
Yeah.
kept me off of
it alters your
even
brain
trying it.
chemistry. Anabolics alter the
I think
brain's
those
chemistry.
are two of the most publicized side effects of steroid use.
Yeah.
Testicular atrophy.
Shrunken stones and roid rage. And I have enough rage in my life, honestly. Like I don't need
Anymore.
I don't need to inject myself with something that make me even more vexed more often.
Yeah.
Nah, boy.
I wouldn't say I don't get.
No, I get
But-
it, but I don't get it.
I think most fellas focus on the slim chance that they are not negatively
that guy?
affected. Yeah.
You
Literally,
mean the
because-
guys who think that they're smarter than the drugs?
No, I mean this is the reality because you are not going to run into all of these side effects.
You're not gonna
If you-
say that you ran into the side effects.
Well, okay, but you personally to yourself, before you make the conscious decision, I'm going to do this. You have heard of all 9 out of 10 times you have heard, because you're not living under a rock, somebody somewhere on YouTube would have mentioned, because it's literally everywhere, some one or other of the side effects. And you are not going to tell yourself, right, I could do that. That is for me. Sign me up for the
Sign me up for the side
for the
effects.
possibility of looking slightly better than average, because that is what the vast majority is going to achieve using PEDs.
Right.
Slightly better than average.
physique. All right, you are not going to become Mr. Olympia.
Well,
And
you see,
so we should actually hammer that home as well.
I
Steroids
don't
alone.
like to. I don't want to. Because if I did, I would be commenting on people's posts like, listen,
No, I mean-
you are never going to become Mr. Olympia.
No, not on people's posts, but like generally no. So you're not targeting anybody. But the fact of the matter is, steroids alone not gonna help you look like that. You have to train like an absolute monster and diet and all this kind of thing.
you need the other pieces of the puzzle, you know, and there are things that people don't talk about. Like I've seen athletes suffer from things that people don't talk about. There is something called needle fatigue. When you're using PEDs and you have to inject yourself, right? And you need to inject yourself in some cases twice a week, just to keep the dosages level and to keep everything in the endocrine system running the way it should. Athletes become tired psychologically of sticking themselves. But you see, it doesn't manifest itself like that. It manifests itself in such a way that you tell yourself, I'll do it later, or I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it the next month. And then the next thing you know, you've opened yourself up for side effects because you didn't inject the substance when you were supposed to inject it along the particular schedule. Needle fatigue is something that nobody speaks about. Nobody speaks about, in some cases, the insomnia that you get. Some people don't speak about the you become sometimes intolerant to some nutrients in terms of your uptake. And you know, you just become in a place where you don't want to, because you remember your brain chemistry is being altered. You don't want to eat this anymore. You don't want to do that. You're fed up. You know, steroids do not make you strong. Strength is something that comes from inside you. But steroids don't make you strong. Steroids don't make you big. Steroids don't make you look good. You have to put in the work.
Yeah, you still have to work.
Yeah, and of course, you're putting your life at risk when you're using anabolic steroids, because if you do not train the way you're supposed to, while eating the way that you're supposed to, and resting the way that you're supposed to, you are predisposed.
Yeah, because you have to really clean up your act when you're on game.
Yeah, there are things that you can't do.
Significantly, yeah.
You know,
like you can't miss a lot of things, and a lot of people don't realize that. And these people are putting themselves in much greater risk of like your side effects becoming more life threatening then, because you're looking at people that are so-called abusing steroids, but they have a whole team monitoring their vitals and their toxicity levels. Like I saw this process with a bodybuilder. I was following his prep, and he had to do like wet cupping and things to keep his blood toxicity levels down because of the amount of, like, his blood was thick, like jam.
And also, right. And I was just about to touch on that, because the hematocrit level, the concentration of the blood, is affected by anabolics. And PEDs cause the hematocrit levels to skyrocket in record time. So what a lot of bodybuilders do, and they don't tell anybody anything, is they go in and they have procedures done where they remove blood. So they would go in. A lot of them are blood donors, but if they're not blood donors, a lot of them they use blood thinners, or they would have a pint of blood, or they would have a specific amount of blood removed, so that the hematocrit level can drop. You know.
When I say his blood came out like jam, like it was. So they have the suction thing, but the wet cupping is they would use like acupuncture needles, and they would puncture the area where the cups go. So it's not just like a normal cup. So they puncture the area like several times. Puncture. So this is like all over your back now. And then, so they suction out the blood. And you could literally just come with a knife, take the blood off, and like that's how thick it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of this seems worth it to me, boy.
What's that?
None of this seems worth it to me, but I mean...
Well, again, it ties back to neuropsychological factors. It ties back to subjective experience. It ties back to how someone feels. Now, picture a man who is ignored in the house or ignored in his relationship. Picture somebody who has been hurt and he's getting a chance now to get even. And he wants to look a particular way so that he can get even. This man,
you're getting the attention now.
You're getting the attention now. The tables have turned, you know, and you are taking this, and you are feeling like a god. I have seen little boys taking these things, and they're walking around the gym and they're strutting around without understanding that the younger you start interfering with these things, is the more the long-term damage is going to affect you. I mean, you know, it's not something that you want to do, you know, but again, it is their subjective experience.
It is. And I suppose, as you put it that way, it's just like being addicted to any other
substance.
drug.
Yeah.
Like I
there is that
don't
dopamine.
understand hard drugs, but
There is that dopamine release, and it is a chemical. These are chemicals coming into the body, you know. And when you were lifting what you used to strain with, or you couldn't move, and you're warming up with that now, that's addictive. You are now literally a god. There was a weight that you could not move, and you're on cycle now, and you're able to move it because of the amount of muscle you're able to develop in record time.
Significantly faster. Because if you tell somebody, okay, yeah, we would reach this milestone in 5 years, nobody has time for that.
Correct.
5 years? I need to get back at this
have
girl
things to
now.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen guys use PEDs, and I wouldn't lie to you. It made me consider doing it. You know, I've seen guys get results, and fantastic results in weeks, and I'm here trying to move past a plateau. And these guys have, you know, in one instance, it was a guy who wasn't as strong as me, and now he's way past me, you know. So you now have to have the mental fortitude now to weigh the pros and cons and make a decision. I'm not going to do this for whatever reason.
no, it happens to me because, like I say, y'all, frankly speaking, y'all are what, 100 pounds heavier than me?
No.
No? Not really?
What's your weight?
Maybe 50?
France ought to be like around
50.
170.
Nope, I'm not.
What you are?
About 160, 165.
I'm around 200.
You're on 200? Oh, wow. I'm 235.
Right, so
I'm-
you all
I'm significantly
have
heavier.
some size on me, right?
Yeah.
Every now and then, as a slimmer individual, I'm like, man, I fed up with this, you know, I want to rip some shirts. And then I'll think, nah, my stones.
Nah,
don't.
but yeah, honestly, it doesn't-
I like
it
my
doesn't bother.
testicles unatrophied.
Yeah.
And I'll like, oh, like it'll last
But
about that long.
But do you know though that the other things that people don't ever speak about is that, do you know that when you begin putting on size and putting on weight, what happens is that in some people you put on weight in your jaw, and behind your tongue, and in some cases in your tongue. What that does to some people is it creates a scenario where sleep apnea can step in. So all those guys that you see on Instagram beyond a particular weight, all of them have sleep apnea.
Have the little
All
machine
of them
at home.
sleeping with the machine. I was approaching a weight because I was going to compete, and I began approaching 260 pounds, and I developed sleep apnea. Now, sleep apnea, I didn't know about it. It's something that I never thought I was going to encounter. But picture yourself trying to fall asleep, but while you're falling asleep, you are hearing yourself snoring and snorting and can't fall asleep. Or picture yourself now dropping asleep and you're flying out of sleep because you've lost your breath in your sleep.
Yeah, you can't breathe. Yeah.
You can't breathe. And the doctor gave me like a bunch of drugs to take, and one of the drugs was a steroid to bring down the inflammation so that I could be. Listen to me, it was a disaster. I gave it up. I decided, you know what? Because if you notice on Instagram, there are a lot of bodybuilders just dying for no reason. You know, a lot of them are suffering from things like heart attack and sleep strokes and different things that, again, is swept under the carpet because it is a dirty part of bodybuilding that nobody talks about. But we are not designed to walk around at those particular weights, at those particular sizes.
Your body is actively against that.
We're not designed for that. My feet used to swell. I couldn't reach down and tie my shoes without being out of breath. Picture that. You know, and then of course the eating. Now, you know, I used to have to eat and then get up from the table and go and walk for 20 minutes to come back to finish my meal because I was doing like 5,000-6,000 calories a day. Don't talk about the cost for doing that. You know, and where I couldn't do that, I had to take a shake. So I would have to put things in the shake to bump the shake up to a particular caloric standpoint. You know, but you know, and what is competition going to do? And this is the thing: when you compete, what is it going to do? And if you get there, you know, what's it going to bring? And the answer was that it just wasn't going to do anything for me. It just was not.
But you can see the justification with many fitness influencers, because remember, once you look in a certain way, you'll get the followers, you'll get the engagement,
Right.
For nothing else.
Because unlike any other profession on the planet, do you care what your doctor looks like? No. What's important is that he is qualified along the scholarly part of a medical degree. A pilot, we don't care what a pilot looks like, but when you're talking about a trainer, everybody wants to know that their trainer looks good. Our ability to earn income is forever demarcated by what we look like.
I feel like you might care what your
have to
lawyer
be
looks
your
like.
billboard.
You have to look the part.
I would care what my lawyer sounds like.
Well, both. But like when he's walking up, like what he looks like is, I mean, I'm just saying, it might be weird to me, but if a lawyer is coming up to me and...
You have a lot of experience just waiting on lawyers?
no.
Because I don't. I've never needed a lawyer in my
Not
life.
a lot, but enough.
Right.
And like, you know, he's coming up and he's, you know, his blazer's faded out.
That's not your guy.
This might be a little rough.
But that's one isolated incident.
Yeah.
Tell me one person on
Yeah, but you don't care about
Instagram.
his physique, though.
No.
Well, right.
That's-
Look at all the prevalent social media influencers. Look at their following. And do you think their followings would have been in the hundreds of thousands if they didn't look the way that they look? We are under tremendous pressure to look a particular way all the time. You know, and
It's
that's
the only time, you know.
yeah.
It's the all every day, boy.
Every day.
Right,
so
true.
we become prisoners. I train every day. I train every single day. And if I'm not doing weights, I'm doing cardio on some days. You know, but you know, we have to look a particular way, regardless of what we feel or how we feel. All the time.
Yeah, every day,
And
boy.
then in our culture, you know what happens? You stop the gym for a while, you know, and your bunks up. Hey, what happened to you?
You get small,
How you
man.
get so small? And then they begin. Hey, you remember when Vaughn was a strong man? What happened to him now?
Listen, and people is
No, I
literally
know.
People do that. People do
Yes,
that.
it was, hey, you lost some weight or
Yeah, it's
No,
worse. It's terrible.
I am telling you, completely oblivious. Be like, hey, you remember when Vaughan was strong, real strong man. He gets money, mother, cause now way. Watch him now.
Yeah.
They talking and laughing, and it was like, yeah,
You getting ready to cut your wrist. You're getting ready past the menorahs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an easy farm for guys out there. I don't want this to be a recurring theme on the podcast, but life is oftentimes bleak for us men out there.
It is.
I wouldn't say bleak, but I mean, you know, men have their problems.
Sometimes I feel like saying bleak, but you're right. You are correct.
Well, we could wrap up by saying, well, men have their problems. Always talk to professionals about all your problems.
Yeah, I actually do have a therapist. A therapist can provide, like in my case, a bird's eye view, and then sometimes too, you're going through something and you're going through it by yourself. You know, it's like you trying to fix your car by yourself and you are not a mechanic. You know, a therapist can take the issue out, take a look at it, you know, give you some insight, and then step back and allow you to fix it yourself. The therapist by no means is going to fix it for you. They give you the tools necessary, they give you the perspective necessary, and then they back off and you fix your stuff. But yes, I do see a therapist, and you know, I think everybody should do it. Like, I don't think that we need to walk around with our problems
Burdened.
on our burdens, and we feel as if we can't fix it, or we feel as if we need to walk around with it, and there are people there to fix it or help us fix it. And you know, for us, pain becomes such commonplace that, you know, we feel that we need to be emburdened or stimulated all the time. And in a lot of ways, it's wrong. We don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to always, you know, bear that cross. You could rest it down, you know.
Yeah, the trick is, you know, you have to learn how to deal with people, because, you know, you're in therapy. Nobody knows you're in therapy. And, you know, you're oftentimes judged with the same rubric or the same yardstick, as people like to say, as before. You know, nobody knows you're in therapy. You know, but you walk out the road and people judge you, and people want to deal with you the same way, because you may have made a mistake. You know, and you have to through therapy again have the maturity and the wherewithal to say, well, hey, listen to me, that was the old me. You're not gonna allow somebody to punish you for something that you did when you were the old person. You know, and you have to learn how to tell the difference and know what is healthy for you and what is not. You see, if your mind isn't in a particular place, that has a direct correlation to physical activity as well, you know. Mm-hmm. Because if you are not mentally present, we have enough clinical data, and we have interrogated enough clinical studies to know that your brain is going to fire along the axon neurons at a deficit, at a diminished rate. You know, once you are not, because the first part of all physical movement that is purposeful is intent. You know, movement first starts as a thought, and action potential changes it from chemical energy to now mechanical energy. But that has to do with your brain, and your brain consists of the parts that are good and the parts that are in therapy and the parts that are not. You know, so we have to keep all these things in mind. You're dealing with the human being as a whole, every single part of it. It's not 32 trillion cells excluding the part with the money problems. It's the entire thing.
Holistic look at your health, guys. So, you heard it from the man himself, Nicholas, aka Titan. I feel as though we would continue this discussion whenever he decides to invite us on his podcast. You know, We are accepting invitations, guys.
You guys are
It's
definitely
called-
cordially invited. I'm going to send you all a card.
It's called,
Sheesh.
Nicholas, it's called
Titan Talks.
Titan Talks.
Yeah.
And it's available.
On Netflix. It's not available on
Nice.
Netflix. I
was
swear,
like,
it is not
holy
available.
Man, reach
Real,
No. But,
real outed boy.
but as soon as it becomes up and running, I will let you guys know. You guys are going to get probably the first invitation.
Sweet.
But,
yeah.
And I'm going to have you guys on there. You know?
100%. I'm in.
Good.
So, once again, this has been the Laymans Project with myself, Franz, Titan. We have some more interesting. Oh, well, all of our guests have been interesting, so you already know what it is. So, follow, like, subscribe, comment, interact. And we will see you guys next time on the Laymans Project. Applause. Well, I mean,
Right now, he said applause.
that was meant to be the cue.
okay.
And
let's
it's
see.
not even crickets I get this time. This is just,
Hey. I mean, applause for me.
hey.
Thanks, guys.
Nicholas, thanks for joining us.
That's no problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
Peace out.
Yeah.